Jai Gurudev, Jai Masters. Every single one of you and every single person on this earth has within them a secret flow of beautiful energy that always flows up, never down. It's like being in a geyser. It's there from when you wake up in the morning, pouring up inside of you during your day, at night, when you eat, anything you do. It takes a while before you realize that that flow of spirit, that flow of Shakti, that upward flow, is hampered by the ego. You're not saying this as an analysis. You're saying this like saying if water is flowing and you put a dam in its way, and you get much water downhill. That's what happens inside. Someone once asked me, how do you know so much about the mind? You live in there. You see it, you watch it. You meditate deep enough to where it stops, and you watch it start again. You see how the root of the mind is in the heart of the personal mind, not the intellectual mind, but the root of the personal mind. You know what that means. I, me, mine, woe is me. That complaining gal or fellow. So you'll see that that comes from the heart. You just see it bubble up from the heart and then start talking inside your mind. And at some point, you catch on that as long as you're hanging out with that part of yourself, you're not going to find this higher part of yourself. It's not that it's not there. If I am sitting there looking at that picture on the wall, I'm not looking at the other pictures, am I? I'm not doing anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with that picture. But if I am looking at that picture, by definition, I am not seeing the other picture in the room. If you are looking at your personal thoughts, your personal heart, your personal self, then you are not looking at the rest that's in there. Just the same as you look out at that picture, you look down at your thoughts. The awareness is sitting in here. It can look anywhere in here. It can look anywhere in here. You don't know that. It can look to the left, to the right, above, below, and there's stuff to see in there. There's all kinds of stuff in there. You're in there and still looking at your personal mind. I look at that picture, then that picture, that picture. In other words, should I do this? No, I want to do that. Should I? No? And they argue with each other. Who's looking at them? How do you know they're doing that? Is it the same you who's looking at both sides of the argument? There's just one of you in there. And you can look different places in there. And I'll explain to you why it doesn't seem like that. Okay? But you are in there. You're the consciousness. And there are things going on in there. And there is this higher place in there. Master called it, you're going to call it a river of joy. It's real. It's really there. It's always flowing up inside. It's ecstatic. It's love. It's everything you ever sought in your whole life. That's what that is. Well, how do you know that? Because when you have an experience that is uplifting, that is the energy that's doing it. Oh, you mean I can tune into that energy? No, you have opened up where you're usually staring. It became more open. You liked something. Somebody pleased you. Somebody looked the way you think is exciting. You looked at a painting. You listened to some music. Something happened that part that you're looking at became thinner, became more open, became less distracting. If you listen to I love classical music, right? But maybe you like rap. I don't care. If you're listening to some music that is distracting you from yourself, isn't that what it's doing? If it's not distracting you from yourself, it's the same as not listening to it. It has to distract you from yourself. Otherwise, you're listening to music. Why'd she say that? I don't know. Oh, my God, it's been 6 years and I'm still not over. The reason you play music is so that it can distract you from that. It can take you to another place inside yourself. It raises you up because it's pleasant. It matches what you like. But when you do that, you do what we call open. It's an opening. You feel more open, more receptive. And when you are more open, this river that is always in there has an opening to leak out. And that's what you feel as joy. That's what you feel as conditional love. Why is it conditional? Because it's conditioned upon you opening, right? It's only there when somebody says, I love you and you're so special to me and I've never loved any more than anyone. People like being talked to like that, don't they? And when that gets talked to like that, all of a sudden this thing called love can come into your heart. Where's it coming from? It does not come from the other person. It's inside of you. It's because this place that I'm talking about, this river of joy, of love, of spirit, of Shakti, is always there, but you have a wall. I don't like to say that. Let's not call it a wall. You're not paying attention to it. If I look at that picture, but there's something really, really beautiful going on to the left or the right, I miss it. I don't need a wall. I just need to distract my consciousness to not be able to see it. What it is distraction. I've talked to you about that before. You are distracted by this thing that interests you more, your problems, your issues, your desires, your fears, the personal self. Distracts your consciousness to where it is now being pulled down there, and it's always there. So there can be all kinds of stuff going on elsewhere, but you don't know anything about it because you're not looking there. So now when the music happens, or somebody hugs you, or somebody says really nice things to you, or you get all the applause because you did so well on the stage, right? Can you imagine how, the rock stars and the Beatles, and you get how much juice comes out, and they just, whoa, it's a high. Where's that coming from? It's coming from the fact that you opened up inside because you liked what was being said, and I'm telling you, that joy that you feel, that love that you feel, is a leak, because you opened, you made a little opening. It's a leak that the higher energy that is always there, but you're not looking at it. Even then, you don't look at it. You let it come down and you look at how it changed your personal state that you're staring at. You're hypnotized into looking in a given direction, and you don't realize it because you haven't looked in another direction. I don't read necessarily you haven't. You may have, okay? Meditation certainly helps. It can take you places, and then you come back. Right, you go somewhere in meditation, it's deep, and you come back and say, wow, it's there all the time. You just stop looking here and you look there. That's how I want you to think about it. So basically, this thing about the higher self, the beauty, the Shakti, the Chi, flowing down because you opened, it's so funny. I'm a nice Jewish boy, you know that, but I love Christ's teachings. He said, I stand at the door and knock. Whoever will open, I will enter. That's what we're talking about. It's always there, but you are closed. So basically, when you open, what does that mean, open? I know how you open. Don't know you, but I know how you open. Something you like happens. Somebody says something nice or somebody looks nice. Who cares? Something happens that you like. And because you like it, you open. Something happens that you don't like. And because you don't like it, you close. And it can happen really quickly. Somebody can say really, really nice things to you and say, just kidding, not. Whoa, you go from open to closed. What does closed feel like? I don't want to talk about it, okay? It's hard, isn't it? There's no love, there's no energy, it's depressing, it's painful, it's so on and so forth, because you closed. So there's a lack of flow of that energy, but the energy is always there. That's the essence of yoga. The energy is always there. But you are addicted to what? Your personal self. So now, we got the groundwork. So the question becomes, where do we want to go from there? I know where I like to teach, and it seems to help people, is instead of, okay, I'm staring at my personal self, but if I could find somebody, if I could make more money, if I could travel more, in other words, if I could do things that open me, I'm going to be better off. I'm going to feel better. So I'm going to devote my life to figuring out what opens me and getting it. Is there anything wrong with that? Of course not. Good luck. Because you just said the only time I'm going to be okay is when I get what I want. But how hard is it to get what you want? Anyone want to talk about it? How hard is it to get someone to be exactly the way you want them to be and keep them that way for the rest of your life? People go through changes. Different things happen. I don't want to talk about it. I'm trying to talk high this time, so I don't want to get into all that. But you know what I'm talking about. It's not possible to always get what you want. Can you sometimes get what you want? Of course. And then do you feel the beauty and the leaking of that beautiful place? So one thing you can do with your life, and you're welcome to do it, is not wrong, is to devote your life to trying to open by having the outside unfold in a way that opens you. So basically, if you're doing that, then you're not looking back at your other stuff. You're not looking back at the higher place. You're waiting for something to happen that allows it to leak in. The other way you can live your life is to sit here and say, wait a minute. First, why do I have to be conditional and find things to make me be hoping? I'm the one who's closing. I'm in here. It's my heart. It's my mind. I don't want to have to owe everybody everything and figure it out and beg. Papa used to say, don't be a beggar. That's what he means, right? You're begging, do something that will open me. Likewise, in addition, I ain't living off of a leak. I don't want to live off the drips. It's coming from somewheres. This is yoga. Now you're talking spirituality. I want to go there. I want to go to the place where it is always flowing, to the source, not to the little bit that leaks because everything matches what my conditions are. So what do you do if you decide that that is what I want to do? Well, you can either try to find that place and grab and fight, but I don't teach that. I don't want you doing that. But instead you look and you say, I see that there's this opening and closing that happens. Why don't I work with that? Because if it doesn't close, I can feel the source of where it's flowing from and follow that back. And that's been my entire path. It's like it is in there. Like if you feel openness and love, I like that. I love that. It's conditional. Fine. Let's see if you cannot close. Now that you've learned to open, or now that it has opened, you like it open, you like feeling love, you like feeling enthusiasm, you like liking your job, you like things, don't you? Why do you close? If you like it, then don't close, because closing means you give it up. But here you have your choice. Do I not close by making you behave a certain way and get what I want and travel where I want it? You understand that? Do I need conditions outside to not close? And that's like running after everything gets really intense. Or do I not close? And that becomes your path. And that's a very honorable path, a very deep path. Because if you don't close, you're going to feel this flow and you're going to start to like it. You start to understand that it is under your control. It's under your control because you live in here and you see what it feels like to close. You see what it feels like to open. You start learning. You start learning what you can do so when it starts to close, you don't. And when it opens, you rest back into it. And little by little, you're moving your way back toward the source of the leak. And as you go back, it gets higher and higher and higher until eventually you feel this flow going up and it doesn't ever go down again unless you decide to close. Now, is that worth working for? And so basically, you just catch on that, okay, I want to learn to not close because that's going to give me what I want. That's going to give me what I need. And so basically you start watching, and I'm telling you, you should be able to do this yourself. You should be able to look and see when it opens and see when it tends to close and see what that feels like. And what you're going to see is that your heart is very involved in that. You start to see changes in your heart. The heart is what closes. The mind is the reaction to the closing. The heart starts to close. The mind says, I don't like this. I was happy before. Why'd you say that? That's mind. But if you watch, you're going to see that the root of the mind is in the heart, and that the closing and opening is the closing and opening of your heart, which results in a closed mind or an open mind. Heart starts to open. The mind says, oh, God, I really like this. How can I keep this? That's because you like the opening, you don't like the closing, and the mind will immediately try to figure out how to get away from what you don't like and to get what you do like, doesn't it? And so a spiritual person works with their heart, not their mind. Let's start right there. But if you can't get past your mind, you're not going to see your heart. That's why you meditate. That's why you do work on yourself. And I'm telling you, you will at some point see that the heart is the furnace. The heart is causing all of that. And then you start to ask, okay, now I see that. It's not the other person. It's not places, things, everything, or situations, circumstances outside. It is the reaction that my heart is having to these. This is how you grow naturally inside. So the question becomes, one, why is it doing it? And two, what can I do about it? So you start watching it. So the first question is, why is it doing it? Why does your heart open when hers closes with the same situation in front of you? Why did your heart open yesterday when something got said, but it closes today when the same thing said? If you want to know why, you will watch. That's witness consciousness. I told you once, Yogananda called meditation entering the laboratory of soul research. You're looking, you're learning, you're seeing, you're becoming a whole wiser being. And when I say meditation, I mean every minute of every day. I'm not talking about the sit-down stuff. So I'm watching, you're watching, and I ask two questions there. One, why does it open and close? And two, what do you do about it? And if you want to know why it opens and closes, you're going to see that you did that. If your heart closes, you laid the groundwork for that heart to close. Because other people's hearts would not close in the same situation. You didn't close in the same situation 2 weeks ago, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody said something to you, but you really, really like that person. And it's funny what they said. Somebody said something to you, and you've never liked that person. You don't like what they said, do you? You open and close. It's based on what you did. You set the conditions. What is the natural state of your heart? Open. Your natural state of your heart is open. You taught it to close. How? To protect yourself. It's just like putting your hands up. Your heart goes like that, doesn't it? You're protecting yourself. That taught your heart to close. That is closing. Why? I've taught it to you so many times. Like I said, I'm going to just do a Cliff Note crash course. Because things happen to you in your life that you are not mature enough. And maturity doesn't just mean how old you are. It means how well you've dealt with your mind and your heart. You are not mature enough to be able to handle the reality of the situation unfolding in front of you. I'm not insulting you. Don't get mad at me. But things happen in front of you that you can't handle. You're not comfortable with them. They're disturbing. And what do you do about them? You push them away. That's what you try to do. You try to protect yourself from them. You try to keep them at a distance from you. It's just amazing what you will do. And so you push this away, and basically it gets stored inside your heart. That's as simple as that. That is why your heart is messed up, because you stored messy things inside your heart. And if you keep storing everything that bothered you inside your heart's going to get bothered by everything. It reminds it of it. Things are not even related, right? Somebody says the word mother, and all of a sudden you're upset because you're getting along with your mother. You couldn't handle the event, so you stored it inside. I've asked you 50 times, 50,000 times. How can you be okay if you store everything that happened to you that wasn't okay? You just made a collection of all this stuff. And I'm telling you, it's stored in your heart. You're going to see that that's where the reaction comes from. That's why your heart is programmed the way it is to open and close. You did it. You did it by not being able to handle the natural situations that unfolded in front of you. You either resisted them and pushed them down there, or you clung to them because you didn't want them to go away. And then basically, there it is. And that's why your heart opens and closes under different circumstances. Check it out. You're at work, somebody's really nice to you all the time, you got along, and all of a sudden they were in a bad mood, they said something yesterday that hurt you, insulted you. Let's see how you are about them tomorrow. You will close. Let's say the opposite happens. You will open. You're watching yourself program your heart to open and close. And so basically you get to a point where you look at that and you say, okay, now I know why I get the reactions I do about opening and closing with my heart. I did that. So now the question is, what can you do about it? You're a scientist. You now understand what's causing this to happen. What can you do about it? That's very subtle. You can't go down there and rip this stuff out. People say to me, well, how do I know it's down there? You'll know. It will let you know. It will come up. That to me is the highest way you can do this. It's the natural path. You're interacting during the day, things will hit your stuff. And now you know what I mean by hit your stuff. They will hit the stuff you stored in there, and your heart will get sensitive, opening, closing, and then your mind will talk about it. That is what's happening. So basically, you're in there. What can you do about it? There are so many techniques. There are so many things. What I have found, and I pass on to you, is that when it's all said and done, you couldn't handle when it happened. That's why you stored it in there. Can you handle it now when it comes up? You've grown. Maybe you were little when it happened, and you weren't mature enough to handle what happened. Now you're older. You've meditated. You've been through different situations. You've been around the block a few times. Can you handle when it comes back up? And the answer better be yes. Because if you can't handle when it comes back up, you're going to push it back down. And there's going to be yet another situation that you're sensitive about. I was sensitive because mommy or dad or my first boyfriend or girlfriend did something. Now somebody did something that reminded me they parted their hair like he used to do. That's all it takes. Or the name is similar. And basically they will do it. And now so it comes up. If you can't handle it, you will push it back down. And that new situation that wasn't exactly like the old one will also carry the mess that tried to come back up. You project the relationship that this is disturbing onto what just happened. But what just happened is just another situation that didn't happen 5 years ago, but now you've tied it to that. I'm telling you, I hope you understand. You make a complete mess in there. Now everything's going to bother you. You just project. You project the constant stuff down there. So, your first boyfriend's name was George. And now you're sensitive about George's because, this happened or he did that or so on. So now you meet somebody else and their name is Jorge. And at first it doesn't do anything, but then they smile a certain way or they cough a certain way. And all of a sudden immediately it will tie back, won't it? It will associate back there. Now you don't like Jorge's. That's how it happens. And all of a sudden you're spreading all this stuff all over the place. And the next thing you know, you're getting upset by everything. That's how you get sensitive. Next thing you know, you're moody. You were fine 5 minutes ago, and now you're not feeling so good. Then you're up, and then you're down, and they're called moods. That's what causes them. Now, what do you do about it? That's the question. If you see it, you don't want that stuff in there, do you? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to live your life open and not worry about what somebody says or if Jorge shows up or if George shows up? Wouldn't it be nice if you got divorced 10 years ago and your wife's name was Sally and you're at a party and someone yells out, Sally, Sally, and you don't freak? 10 years later, wouldn't it be nice to not have that in there and be able to be open and live your life and enjoy your life and not have to worry about all this stuff of avoiding what you've got stuck in there? So the question becomes, what do you do about it? And what I have found is, in the end, the highest thing to do about it, there's stages in between, is be able to handle it when it comes back up. Because if you can handle it when it comes back up, it's going to go out. You gave it room to release. It's only in there because you're keeping it in there. You are using your will to resist, to grab or resist, to hold on or resist. What if you didn't do that? How do you not do that? What I teach you, which isn't always easy, but it's always a really good thing to do, is we call it R&R, relax and release. When it comes up and you feel the tendency to resist, relax. People say, what do I do? Something came back up. Relax. That's what you do. That's a doing, right? Resisting is a doing. Grabbing is a doing. Fighting is a doing. Running is a doing. All kinds of doings. You can also relax. You in there that would have resisted can say, no, I want to give this the room to come up, to release. I can do that. I can sit here. I have the right. It's not easy. Why? Because it wouldn't be in there if you liked it. It's in there because you don't like it. It's in there because you couldn't handle it before. If you want to find that river of joy, and we'll see how that ties together, you have to let this stuff go. But you don't have to grab it and pull it out and find it. It will find you. It's going to come up. Something's going to happen. Someone's going to say something. And it's going to come up. And if you will just let go, if you will just relax and let it pass through you, it will do that. Now, that's not always easy. And what I teach is start with the small stuff. I'm going to do it again. The car in front of you, the weather, so on and so on. It's just small stuff. You can't even handle that. You complain and resist and make a whole thing of that. So just practice releasing, practice, and you'll get good at it. Just like lifting weights or anything else. You practice. Now, there's a subtle point. You're not telling the thing that's coming up to relax, because it is not going to relax. I understand that. That's just not its state. Its state is disturbed. So you're not asking the disturbance to relax, and I'm not asking you to make the disturbance relax, because you're not going to do it. I'm asking you to relax. You who's in there. You're in there. You see it coming up. You see the tendency to resist, don't you? Instead, relax. Now you're dealing with the source of your consciousness. Relax. Let it go. Relax. Please relax and release. Relax and release. Well, what if I can't do that? Then there are techniques along the way that will help you learn to do that. What do you mean? The new book goes straight through this, right? Positive thinking. It starts to come up. You see your mind start to resist. What if you sat there and said, this is great. This is great. This is the pain that ends all pain, and I want to go through it. I do not want to have this disturbance inside of me. I'm doing wonderful. This is a great state that is coming up. I'm growing. Instead of I don't like it, I don't want it, it's wrong, and I'm not going to deal with it, you say something positive. You just grab a hold of your mind and say, I can't deal with all the stuff down there, but I can deal with you. You can make your mind say anything you want. It's your mind. Well, what if I'm saying it, but I don't feel it? I don't care. Affirmation, positive thinking has nothing to do with the fact there's still something down there that's negative thinking, right? It is replacing the negative thinking with positive thinking. Both can go on at the same time, can't they? You be sitting there saying, I like this, I like that. I can't stand it, you lying away yourself. Right? I don't care. That's fine. Don't fight with that. Just replace the negative with the positive. This means put the positive there as an alternative for you to get distracted by. Back to distraction. When that stuff comes up, it's distraction, doesn't it? It pulls all your consciousness right down to oh my God, it's like the whole world is that thing. When it comes back up, there's nothing in this world but that pain and that disturbance and that, okay? And because it's so loud, it pulls your consciousness into it. I'm suggesting that if you can't relax and release at this time, that you start saying something positive. Because you have another place to go besides getting lost in that garbage. You're not pushing it back down. You're just distracting yourself with some positive thing. You can do mantra, which is the ultimate of positive. You just teach your mind to do a mantra. I don't care what the mantra is. It can be, I can handle this. It's a very nice mantra. I can handle this. I can handle this. I can handle this. And basically, this stuff's going to come up, and the mantra is saying, I can handle this. Okay, hang out with that. It'll give you strength. You'll feel more powerful about it. And so basically, that's what's going to happen. And you just use these techniques. Do something to give yourself a chance to release at least some of this. Make a little space for it to release. And then over time, it'll get easier and easier, and you will get better and better at it until you become somebody who knows how to release. Not somebody who doesn't have trouble releasing. That's going to take a long, long time. But somebody who learned, like you, I don't understand, you practice tennis. You practice languages. You practice all kinds of things, don't you? Piano, instruments. Practice this. Don't say, I can't do it. Of course you can't play the piano the minute you sit down. Of course you can't play tennis well. It all goes in the net. You do this thing called practice. Practice letting go. Practice with the simple shots. Practice with the chopsticks. Okay? And then basically you'll see you get better at it. It takes time. That's fine. You don't want that stuff in there. We did the whole talk teaching you. It's closing your heart. It's causing you disturbance. Why would you want that? Basically, you just learn that when the stuff comes up, it's a good thing. It's not easy, but it's a good thing if you're willing to relax and release. That's where that comes from. You just relax behind it. You're going to find out the more you can relax behind it, the easier it is to let it go. And eventually, you become a letting go machine. You become a letting go machine. Have you ever met somebody who's a resistance machine? You ever met anybody who's defensive all the time? Every single word that gets said, first thing comes out of defensiveness. That's what they're doing with their life. What you're doing is letting go. Doesn't mean you succeed all the time. That's not the point. The point is you practice saying, I don't care what's happening. I don't want it in here. Why? Because I want to feel love. I want to feel joy. I want to feel inspiration. So what? Somebody said something. So what? Somebody did something. So what? Somebody dropped something on my toe. It hurts. I can deal with it. I can handle this. I don't have to prove that they were wrong or this is wrong and I'm right. I'm not arguing with anybody. I want to be whole. I want my heart to be open. I want to feel love all the time. I don't know whether you do or not. I do. I want to feel love all the time. I want to feel that river of Shakti pouring up inside of me, feeding me every moment. Would you like that? I'm telling you how to do it. It has nothing to do with right or wrong or good or bad. It has to do with, do you or do you not want to find that river? Do you or do you not want to feel that Shakti pouring up inside of you, opening up? Would you like that? No matter what happens, no matter what any of it does, no matter what goes on, you are capable of that. But not while this stuff is in there. What is going to happen is every day of your life, something is going to hit you, big or small. Something from the past comes up, something new happens. The moment you feel it start to close, let go. Don't play around. It's not a joke. Let go now or fall is what it's saying. If you don't let go immediately, I guarantee you it will build up inside of you and it'll become another one of those things stored down there. So instead of letting go of what hit it, you will take on more. You will resent more. You'll get hurt more. I mean, literally, people sit there and something gets said, even in a relationship with someone they love. That's how people get in arguments in relationships. Something gets said and it just touches the slightest thing. What did you mean by that? Why did you say that? Let go, let go, let go. When? Now. Don't ask why did you say that. Let go. Let go. Doesn't matter why they said it. Let go. What matters is why did it bother you? How much did it bother you? That's when you become a yogi or yogini. When this is how you look at things. I don't want that stuff in me. And you'll find out somebody said something, you interpreted it wrong, they didn't mean the way it was. It wasn't nice, but it didn't mean anything. If somebody loves you and you know they love you, it doesn't matter what they say. What they were really saying is, I love you. But it didn't come out right. Wouldn't it be nice to look at it that way? Not, did it hit something your father said once? It hit something your previous boyfriend said, your previous girlfriend said. So explain why you talk to me that way. No. You say, I love this person loves me. If I can't handle that something got said and I'm going to make a big deal out of it in my head, what you do is take something you thought it was and all your mind says for days. Don't do that. Because that puts another one's blockages inside. And I'm telling you, you do that with somebody and you will learn not to love them. You think you can process this. If you don't let go right away, it leaves marks. Like Ramakrishna, I told you once, I asked a great master, does a great master enlightened being ever feel anger? And he said, yes, but it's like riding on water. Well, who cares? It's gone, doesn't even leave an impression. What if that water gets frozen? Then it's like ice. Then you leave etches. It stays. That's what you did with your will. You held that thing in there, and the power of your will got written on. It's all Shakti. It's all energy. So I asked you a question. Why does the heart open and close? I showed you, because you store stuff down there that closes it. What do you do about it? You let it go. When? Always. That's when you're serious. Why are you letting go? Because I don't want it inside of me. No other reason. It doesn't matter. I don't want it inside of me. I already got enough in there. I'm having trouble letting go of the stuff that's already in there. Heck, if I'm putting another one in there, you commit yourself to liberating yourself. It's about saying the world is going to go about its business. I can't really control it all, and I would like to be able to handle reality. I am following the path of letting go. Letting go of what? This stuff that's causing all this trouble inside of me. And so basically you do that, and I'm telling you it works. But then something big comes up and you say it doesn't work. No, it does work. It works because you let go of the little stuff. And I'm warning you right now, if you let go of the little stuff that's on the surface, the bigger stuff's going to come up. Now, are you going to let go or not? So I went through the whole thing as to why you don't feel the river of joy all the time. Because you're not looking at it. You're looking at this. Isn't that funny? Somebody who's depressed, right behind the depression is ecstasy. And don't you ever doubt it. That is always there. But you're not looking at it. I used to say, but it's blocked. I'd rather say you're not looking at it. Okay? It's just I don't know how to talk anymore closer. I used to use an analogy. You live in a society where they're so thirsty. And what they learned and what you were taught is you go down to the beach and there's some rocks. And they absorb some water from the dew and mornings, and you're sucking on the rocks, and that's how you get your water. The fact that behind you is a lake, that is where the mist is coming from and getting on the rocks, and all you have to do is turn around, and you ain't sucking on rocks anymore. That's what's going on. Right behind you, behind where you're sitting, is this river of ecstasy. It's there all the time, but you're not looking at it. And don't tell me that I don't feel the shock tail. No. Of course you don't feel it. You're looking at the rocks. You're looking down at yourself. You're looking down at the I, me, mine and deciding what you want and then looking down at the mind, figuring out how to get it. And then the heart opens and closes accordingly. I already did that with you. And this is why, because you stored all the stuff down there. How do you get rid of it? You let go. Practice letting go. Practice letting go all the time with no exception. Practice letting go, because that is the problem, is what you're storing in there. It's not the solution. You don't want this garbage in there to run your life. It's going to decide what you have to do to feel okay. That's conditional. Let go. Let go. So what's going to happen? The life is going to continue unfolding, and as it unfolds, things are going to present stuff to you. They hit your stuff. Raise you up, bring you down. Keep letting go. Keep letting go. But what about relationships? They'll happen or they won't. First of all, you're full of relationship. Everything's a relationship. With your dog, with the cat, with the mailbox that's squeaking when you open it, with your car. Relationships are everything. They're there all the time. Well, what a personal relationship. There are things will happen. They will unfold, and you'll deal with them by letting go. But does that mean the person I love is going to go away? No, believe me. You keep letting go, that person's staying. That person just found the nicest place with the nicest person they've ever seen in their whole life. All that person does is give. They're not taking anything. They don't need anything from you. Okay, this is safe. This is nice. But if you have stuff, soon it won't be nice. It won't be enough, because it doesn't feed every part of that stuff you stored down there. And that's why people's relationships get all messed up. Like, people get married, 50% of them get divorced. So why? Why? Did they go to the altar so they could get divorced? No. Did they go there so they could fight? No. This is what happened. It all's working, and then this stuff starts coming up, and this person's not satisfying their stuff. Good. They're not supposed to. You're supposed to be letting go. And the more you let go, and the more you let go, the more you open. And the more you open, the more you feel joy inside naturally. Now we're going to go up more. If you practice this and you just keep letting go, what happens at some point, it opens up enough where you realize, hey, this is inside of me. Christ said, the kingdom is within you. This is beautiful. There's nice stuff in here. When that starts happening, you really see what's happening. Like, when people ask me, how do you see this? When you start feeling enough joy inside, you're going to find out that somebody does something or somebody says something. Usually it's a person, but it could be a situation or finances or your dog dies. It could be anything, all right? And you'll see that that event caused your energy to stop flowing as much as it was. But I don't want my energy to stop flowing. Then let go. Digest the event. Accept the event. That's what's part of accepting. I accept the dog died. Do I feel sad? Of course you feel sad. Is there anything wrong with feeling sad? No. Let it come in, experience it, and let it pass. Digest. It's like digesting your food. You have to let it go. And as it comes in, you're whole, you're complete, it's natural, it's a beautiful feeling, even if it hurts. And when I was working with, somebody died, a friend of theirs died while we were working together, and he asked me, I just don't know how to handle this. And I said, the pain you feel is equivalent to your heart saying, I love you. If you did not love that person, you would not feel that pain. So it's just another thing the heart can do to express love. And he immediately got it. He got it. He said, everything shifted when you said that. So I can enjoy this and just tell him I love him. You can do beautiful things with things. Process them. Neutralize them. Do not build another one in there. So as you let, and I said, you got theirs, the more you feel the Shakti, the more you're open, you will see like the hand in front of your face, what makes it close. You will miss that. The minute something happens, you start to resist, any at all, it stops flowing. To a degree. Whatever degree you resist, that means you're looking away from it. You got involved in yourself. And therefore it stops flowing. Well, someday you will reach the point where you will not do that anymore, ever. Period. And what will happen? At some point, you will have let go of enough, and your stuff can still be there. It can still, like you said, riding on water, okay? But you let it go. You always let go. You always let go. You always let go. And eventually, if you let go enough of this energy you stored down there that was wasting all your energy transmutes. It lets go. It becomes an upward flow instead of a downward flow. That which you stored inside of you is Shakti. You stored that energy. When you let it go, it has to go somewhere. It goes up. Instead of out as anger or in your mind as trouble, it goes up. It releases up. And it becomes a source of high instead of a source of low. And eventually every energy inside of you changes direction. You don't know now because you haven't felt it. It's flowing down. You're looking down at it, and you're acting outside to manipulate and try to make it feel better. Everything you're doing is a downward direction. When you do what I'm talking about, you let go enough, the energy starts to flow up. And literally, you feel the difference. It was as though everything was flowing down, and it's all flowing up. It just naturally flows up. It just all goes up. And you feel that, and it's uplifting. And then you start to feel this joy for no reason. You're just in joy all the time. And you reach the point where it's so nice that you caught on, and you're never going back down. Because you have the right. You have the right to not go back down. Just don't close. Don't close. Let go now or fall. Let go now or fall. And the next thing you know, you're not falling anymore. No matter what happens in life, it just keeps going up. And then you get to the nicer states. I'll close with that. I usually close with that. What do you mean? At some point, it's beautiful in there, and it doesn't get bad. Even if things happen outside that would have freaked anybody else out, you're fine. Why? Because you're already experiencing everything you want to experience. Wake up in the morning with that Shakti flowing, it doesn't matter what happens for the rest of the day. It's so beautiful. It's so fulfilling. It's just feeding you. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that leaveth the mouth of the Father. That's what Christ was talking about. And it's just going up. And so basically you just let go. And at some point, you live with it enough, you're with it enough, it's who you are, and so on. It will dawn on you. It's not a thought. It will just dawn on you. Where's this coming from? Everything has a source. I had to work for this, right? To let go of the source of me so that now everything's spirit. Where is that coming from? Where's that flow coming from? And what happens is you realize, wait, it's going up to take me to where it's coming from. It's pulling me up. And your path becomes letting go. Your path becomes dying to be reborn. It becomes literally letting go of the last vestiges of your personal self to realize, why do I need that? And I'm already experiencing everything I'd ever want to experience, and the world seems to be unfolding very well in front of me. Christ said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. That's the truth. This is what it means to seek God and his righteousness, to go to God, to have this energy pulling you up, and the rest of the world just unfolds, and you're fine. And eventually it pulls you up enough till you start to fall into it. What does that mean? Instead of falling into your stuff, you have anger, you have fear, jealousy, you fall into it, don't you? Now it's pulling you up, and it starts to fall into that source, the source of the river. And you go to very, very high places. All right, so we started off by talking about the fact that there's something very beautiful inside of you, all of you, but you're not looking at it. You're just looking in the wrong direction. How do you turn that around? I hope you understand. That's why I talk the way I do so intensely, right? Because I love you. I care. This is ridiculous. You're a great being. You're a great being. You don't need anything or anybody. It doesn't mean you don't deal with them. But inside of you, you're phenomenal. Jagrative.